Hello and good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you guys so much for joining our workshop at Astro AWANI LINC. So this is a program where we learn, interact, network, and create, which is the abbreviation for LINC. I am Soraya Mia, and I will be your moderator for today. First, I would like to wish everyone a happy new year. Yes, we are still in the first week of our 2021. I hope everyone is staying safe. Now it's a really hard time, but it does not mean that we cannot have resolutions and goals. Trying times don't mean that we do not have goals. Even if it's a little bit, progression is better than perfection. So first of all, I'm going to begin our webinar today with the webinar hygiene video. So stay tuned. We're going to enjoy this VT.
Welcome to Astro AWANI LINC's brand new webinar platform designed to enhance your experience. A couple of hygiene points. We recommend that you shut down other video and audio tabs to clear up your bandwidth for a better experience. Should you experience any technical difficulties such as lag or interruptions, please click on the red reconnect button. If there is a major glitch that is experienced by a majority of the people in the room, we may reset the entire system. Just sit back and relax. You will be taken to a new room automatically. If you have a question you would like to ask the speakers, kindly mark your remark as a question. And finally, we would appreciate it if you could tell us what you think of your webinar experience. Do give us a 5-star rating if you like the session and write to us via the contact us form on our website.
Right, so as you all know, if you've registered already, today's webinar will be speaking about resolutions, goals, and everything to do with life. And we will have special guests, our speakers for today, 2 special guests. One is Shankar R. Santiram, the Managing Consultant and Leadership Coach at EQTD Consultant Sundrian Berhad, and also Kevin Zahri, the Chairman of Malaysian Adult and Child Obesity Prevention Organization. So of course, they will be speaking about the general and also the deeper side of managing your KPIs and also having goals and resolutions. So the difference between resolutions and goals, there's actually a difference. So they will be introducing and speaking about it furthermore. And I hope you guys are ready, because later on we will also have question and answer sessions. So be active, make sure you are ready to ask your questions, all right? So we're off to the next video. All right, so is everybody ready? Because we are going to begin our first speaker of the day, which is Shankar. I'm going to introduce you. He is the Managing Consultant and Leadership Coach, EQTD Consultant Sundrian Berhad. He will be speaking about how to change your resolutions into goals. So basically, resolutions are just something that you want, but then goals are actually something that you have to achieve with a deadline, and it's very specific. So please welcome Shankar R. Santiram.
Hello. Hi, Mia. And hello, everybody. Shankar Santiram here. And I'm very glad to be on LINC and come to you today with this particular topic, which is quite close to my heart. Some of you may know me from my light radio show every morning called The Right Perspective with Shankar Santiram. I have a newspaper column, and I've been doing this for a long time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and all of you who are watching out there and joining us, thank you for joining us. And thank you also to Astro AWANI and also LINC and everybody involved for allowing me to participate in this particular really interesting topic. And it's something which is quite close to my heart, because every year, at the beginning of every year, notwithstanding the pandemic year that we're having, and we're having a rather odd start to 2021. We are hopeful that we have that we have a vaccine that's going to come out and help us, but at the same time, there's also a lot of trepidation because we're worried about the rising numbers, so on and so forth. But almost naturally and instinctively, everybody tends to, towards the end of the year, think about these, what are we going to do for the next year? How are we going to make things better? It's almost like an arbitrary kind of line that we draw in the sand and say, oh, 1 year is finished, the next year has come about and it's coming, and we need to make resolutions. And New Year's resolutions are pretty much the thing that everyone does, right? It's the first week of the new year. All sorts of greetings are exchanged. Resolutions are made with great enthusiasm, and some will be kept while others will fail and fall to the wayside, right? So Amy, if you can show me the first slide right now, right? That I have. Right. Some of our resolutions we will keep, and some of our resolutions may be just pushed to the wayside. You may have resolved, well, normal things now, right? Some of you may have very big resolutions, like you want to change your life, and some of us have smaller resolutions, much more doable resolutions, we think. Things like you may have resolved to wake up a little earlier every day. You might join Kevin and try to get more exercise and eat healthier. And you might decide that, you know what, I'm not going to procrastinate, I'm not going to tangguh everything, like, apa yang saya boleh buat esok, kenapa saya nak buat hari ini. We will say things like this to ourselves and say, no, I'm getting it done now. We are going to be kinder. We want to save money, so on and so forth, right? Resolutions, decisions, plans for the year are always, literally always made with great enthusiasm and energy. Even this year, I reckon a lot of you out there, you say, okay, you know what, this has been a tough year, 2020, with the pandemic, COVID-19, all sorts of things have happened, but I'm going to do it better. I'm going to do it. I'm going to resolve, and I'm going to tell myself that I'm going to do something even better, and I'm going to become thinner. I'm going to take more exercise. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to be kinder. I'm going to save money. I'm getting a new job, so on and so forth, right? But do resolutions really work? And I put the word resolution in inverted commas because resolution comes from the root word resolve. I resolve to do something. I will make a decision to do something. That's what you do on the night of the 31st of December every year. You say, tomorrow morning, I'll get up, I'll do all these things. But as the dust is slowly settling from the revelry, this year we didn't celebrate so much, but still people in the smaller scale celebrated. You called your family, you hung out with your loved ones, you kind of, did whatever you could in your own small way, as opposed to going out and seeing the fireworks, so on and so forth. And a lot of greetings are exchanged. Today is the 7th of January, which means in the last 7 days, have we pretty much gone back to the rigmarole of life? Or the realities of what's happening kicks in. Yesterday, we had huge numbers in Malaysia. We heard the Director General of our Health Ministry talking to us about the fact that a much more focused approach needs to be taken. And everybody starts getting worried that, we're going into another situation where our numbers are getting out of control. As this happens, and as we get into life, many of us don't live up to our highest ambitions. Our resolutions go to the wayside. We forget that we actually make these resolutions because life takes over. That's essentially what happens. You start living every day, you start lurching from one crisis to another crisis. And there was this renowned clinical psychologist and author, wrote many books. His name was Dr. Joseph Luciani. He suggests in one of his books, and this is common knowledge for a lot of people that I know who work in my industry, who work with people and who work as performance coaches and leadership experts and try to get into companies to get them to perform much better. He says that 80% of all resolutions fail by the second week of February each year. I mean, there are enough studies, and a few days ago I read that Journal of Clinical Psychology, which is a very renowned publication, also said that 46%, only 46% of people actually succeed in keeping their resolutions throughout the year, right? 80% fail by February, right? Then there is like, people recombine and start again and try it again. Many of you will try to lose weight in January, and then you will find that you're not doing it. You might try again in March, you might try again in April or June, May or June of this year, and come back and doing it. It takes a person you have to be sufficiently motivated and ambitious to work on your own initiative, literally work on your own initiative, which means you don't need me to come and tell you that you should do something. You don't need Kevin to come and tell you that you should do something. You don't need your bosses or your coaches to tell you that you need to do something. In order for you to meet your goals, you need to reach a stage of no longer needing direction. And that's what I'm trying to share with all of you today. All right. So resolutions don't really work. You and I know that. Very few people actually succeed in making sure resolutions work. In fact, the science says 80% don't succeed. What we need to be able to do is we need to convert our resolutions into goals, and tangible goals, if you know what I mean, tangible goals. Now, how do we do this? How do we convert our resolutions? And again, put your resolutions in inverted commas. And how do we convert it to become real goals? Tangible means goals that are touched, can be felt, you can aim towards it, you know where it is. It's not some nebulous, cloudy concept. Oh, aku nak buat benda ni, aku nak buat benda tu. How do we get much more focused in doing this? Well, I have a series of 4 questions that I think you need to ask yourself. And I keep reminding everybody I coach and train about this. The first question is, ask yourself, what were my strengths and what did I do well last year, this past year, and what were my pain points? Where did I show weakness? What is it that I couldn't do? Right. So think about it. Do some action research. Action research means researching your own actions. Think about it. Say, hey, that's last 12 months. What did I do? In the last 12 months, what did I do to make things better for myself? And what did I not do properly? For example, I can tell you that the last 12 months, one of my strengths has been that I realized that I can work online. For the last 18 years as a management consultant, leadership coach, corporate trainer working in companies, my job has always been face-to-face. So when we went into the first round of MCO, Movement Control Order, in March 18th, 2020, suddenly for the first 1 week or so, I panicked and I thought to myself, how am I going to do my business anymore? How am I going to run my life? It's going to be really difficult. I can't do this. I sat back. I think I became a little bit depressed for a while, for about 3 or 4 days. And then I gave myself the advice I normally give other people. I said, let's go back. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And I realized at that point, my weakness was the fact that I always needed to be in front of a group of people to actually run training programs and to make it engaging, to make it interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, all those of you who are here right now, I've been speaking for about 10 minutes or 7 minutes or 10 minutes right now. I think now one of my strengths is the fact that I can do things online, just like this. That's because I spent a long time over the last 9 months practicing how to do it. Now, this comes when you make a reflective analysis of what you're good at and what you're bad at. So that's the first thing you have to ask yourself before you take your resolutions and go into goals, right? What is it that you're good at? What is it that you're bad at? Second question you need to ask yourself is, what do you want to learn in 2021? I know what I want to learn in 2021. Do you know what you need to learn in 2021? What you need to learn based on the weaknesses that you've identified for yourself. So when I did this analysis for myself, I thought about my weaknesses in 2020. I thought about what I needed to improve, and I put that as my goal for this year. I resolved to make that my goal. I didn't just pass a resolution inside my head. I did something else. I actually looked at my weaknesses and thought to myself, this is what I need to improve. That's how goals work. Goals work because you want something better for yourself. right? So for example, let's take something completely non-work related. Excuse me. Let's take something completely non-work related, right? Now, if you resolve that you are bored, and if you go into another situation where we have some movement control, what am I going to do? I resolve that I am going to learn a new language, or I resolve that I'm going to learn to play the piano, or learn to play an instrument of my choice, whatever that instrument is, right? Ask yourself, why do you want to do that? That's the third question. What are you willing to do to get the necessary knowledge that you need to learn this new particular skill? What are you willing to do? Because when you ask yourself, what am I willing to do? You need to ask yourself first, why? What is my niyat? What is my purpose? What is my intent? Why do I want to learn another language? Why do I want to learn a musical instrument? Because if someone said, and suddenly you watched on social media, you saw all these TikTok videos and all sorts of things, and you saw on Instagram that your friends are now learning how to play the guitar, they can sing, they can do this, somebody's playing the drum, somebody's beating the gendang, learning how to play the kompang, whatever it is that new skill they got, and you immediately jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, aku pun nak belajar benda yang baru untuk tahun 2021. If you tell yourself, I want to learn something new for 2021, first ask yourself, why do you want to do it? If not, it's just a dream, a pipe dream, just a wish. We all wish many things. But the question that I ask you to ask yourself is, what am I willing to do to get the necessary knowledge that I need in order to learn this particular new skill? That's the next question. If you're not willing to do all that it takes to learn that particular new skill, it's a bad resolution, my friends. It's not even a goal. It's just a dream, a wish, wishy-washy wish. That's all it is, right? And the last question is, what are you willing to change in order to achieve what you want? You need to ask that question as well. I mean, Kevin will talk about, leading a healthy lifestyle, for example. I presume that's what he's going to speak on. The first thing you need to do before you decide that you want to lose weight, or you want to eat healthy, or you want to get up earlier in the morning is, what are you willing to change in order to do that? For example, you tell yourself, saya nak bangun pagi, every day I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Because from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, I'm going to do some personal enhancement. I'm going to do yoga, or I'm going to go for a jog, or I'm going to go for a swim, or I'm going to do something, right? What are you willing to do to make that happen? If you want to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, you can't habitually go to sleep at 2 a.m. in the morning. You can't do Netflix the whole night, or watch Astro until, watch everything that comes on Astro before you go to sleep. So are you willing to get to bed by 10 o'clock every evening in order to wake up at 5:30 in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning? Are you willing to do that? Before you take your resolutions and convert them to goals, these are the 4 questions you need to ask yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses in the past year? What do you want to learn in 2021? What are you willing to do to get the necessary knowledge? And lastly, what are you actually willing to do, sacrifice? What are you willing to change in order to achieve what you want? This is how you convert your resolutions to goals. Can we have the next slide, please? Once you do this, you need to ask yourself how to plan to meet your goals. And I am going to give you 4 steps. This is what I think we need to do. First, reframe your thoughts. See, if you were like me when I was growing up, I'm from Penang, right? My father was a university professor. My mother was a school teacher. I don't know if you were like me, okay? I love watching TV. I have a radio show. I work with Astro right now. It's great because, I can watch whatever I want, and all sorts of streaming services, and we all do that. When I was a kid, when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, especially when I was sitting for my SPM exam, that particular year, I don't know if you're like me, I got told this particular phrase regularly by my mother and father. Oi, stop watching TV, go to your room and study. Okay, I'm 50 years old right now. So I'm a 50-year-old, so which means I did this in 1986, 87, which is when 87, I think, when I went to Form 5, I think at Limba. studying for my SPM exams? Did you get the same kind of thing thrown in your direction? Hey, pergi belajar, go and study. So, depends on who asks you, there is a change of behavior. So if my mother asked me to go and, please go and, go and study, I can counter her a little bit, because my mother was much more gentle. I'll tell her, I'm just watching this like 10 minutes, give me 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes, I'll go. And then my mother was a school teacher, she's a fairly conscientious teacher, so she'll be doing her own thing, not actually watching TV with me. And then after half an hour, I'll be like, hey, belum pergi lagi. And I go like, hey, going, mom, I'm on my way, I'm going to do this. Whereas if my dad asks me to go, there is an immediate threat of violence, because my dad will come and smack me in the head or something like that, go and study, so I would go immediately. Now, did my parents get behavior change? Of course, they got behavior change. I was no longer watching television. I now moved into my bedroom to study. Did I actually study? All those of you, lingkungan umur saya lah, kalau ada. In those days, we didn't have iPhones, iPads, we didn't have, smartphones, we didn't have all sorts of devices. We didn't even have internet in 1988, not for the masses, right? We would sit and we would do nothing. We would sit and do nothing. The 50-year-olds in the crowd right now, you all know what I'm talking about. We can sit for 2-3 hours and berangan-angan. So my mother and father got me to go to the room to study behavior change. But did I actually study? No, I didn't study. And this is fundamentally the problem. You make a resolution and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up. You are now trying to change your behavior so that you can actually be successful at something. What you need to do is not change your behavior, ladies and gentlemen. You need to change your mindset, because it is mindset that drives behavior. Going and studying in the room. When your parents tell you, go and study, go and revise, go, you go. That's just behavior. From in front of the TV, now I'm sitting in my desk. But am I actually studying? I'm not. When will I actually study? When my mind tells me, oi, jangan main-main ni, periksa tu dah depan ni, belajar. When your mind tells you study, then you study. Until then, it's just all people telling you, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. It must come from within. And start by reframing your thoughts as to why you set up this plan in the first instance. Why do you want this goal? What's in it for me? That's the first question I always ask myself. What is in it for me? To wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, what is in it for me? To swim 20 laps a day, what is in it for me? To eat less, to be kinder to people, to be gracious, to learn a new instrument or to learn a new language, what is in it for me? Ask this question repeatedly before you identify a goal, a resolution which can become a goal that you want to focus on. Next one is be invested. Most people don't meet their goals or don't keep up their own promises to themselves simply because they're not actually interested. They're not vested to makna vested, to invested, If you buy something, you are invested in it. That is why sometimes when we offer free webinars like this, people register to come and then not come because no loss for me. I datang ke tak apalah, siapa tahu. Whereas if I make you pay, if my webinar is 10 ringgit and I make you pay 5 ringgit to come, first, give me a deposit of 5 ringgit, then when you arrive, I will collect another 5 ringgit. You dah bayar 5 ringgit dah. Bila you dah bayar 5 ringgit, for example, I'm using a very, just an arbitrary figure. The moment you put 5 ringgit, you will come, That is why restaurants, when they ask you for a reservation, the very popular restaurants, the 5-star restaurants, the Michelin star restaurants, will ask you for a deposit if you want to come. Simply because they have limited number of spaces and they know the moment you put money, you will come. If you don't put money, you won't come. So similarly with your goals, you need to be invested in actually achieving them. Number 3, the next thing that you need to do is you need to find a compelling reason. Do you understand what that means or not? Compelling reason. Compelling means, kenapa? Why? Why is this so important for me? Why do I need to learn? Why do I need to learn? That's the next thing you need to do. You need to focus on the benefits that it brings rather than the annoyance that it brings. Waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning is very annoying if you're not into waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But you need to focus not on the annoyance, but you need to focus on the benefits that you get. Establish the reasons why you have these goals. If not, you won't get there. And the last thing is have the right tools. figure out if you have the right tools that will help you get there. If someone establishes a particular goal, aku nak belajar, I want to learn a new language, or I want to learn something different, or I want to do something else with my life, or so on and so forth. And then you don't upskill yourself, you don't learn that stuff, then you're not going to be successful. Right, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, all of you out there, have the right tools, find a compelling reason, be invested in doing this, but most importantly, reframe your thoughts, get your mindset organized. Then you can take your resolutions and convert them to goals. Thank you very much. That was my presentation. And back to you, Mia.
Thank you very much, Shankar. That was really, really useful. Well, honestly, for me, I don't know about you guys, but if your resolutions can go up until February, then you're considered quite good, because mine will always be like a week. I'm telling you honestly, but I will definitely try the 4 steps and the 4 questions. I hope that that might be more useful, because I feel like you should also have a goal that is not just a dream, like just something that you feel that you want.
Absolutely.
But then it has to be, you know, tangible. It has to be legit.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. And I actually do have one question for you, Shankar. So
Sure.
like, on behalf of the perfectionist, aka procrastinator, you know, like sometimes we have these resolutions or goals, and then we feel like we're not close enough to getting there, or maybe we skip a day or 2 from doing that. It could be an exercise or reading a certain topic, learning something new, and then we start feeling like, oh no, we're not doing this right. So then we start lagging off, and then how do you actually keep the consistency?
The consistency, Mia, it's a really good question. The consistency always falls back on your purpose drive. Why did I want to do it in the first place? Keep asking yourself, why did I want to do it in the first place? For example, I give you an example, my own example, right? So I'm as I said, I'm 50 years old, and as I'm getting older, I'm becoming acutely aware of my health. And also with COVID going on right now, and our immunity becomes vital for all of us. Now, I've tried to maintain my weight for a very, very long time. At one point, I was about 96 kilograms, ballooned up, right? And because I love eating, I love, you know, all the bon vivant, I like hanging out, having all the fun that, you know, you associated with having the good life. And then I realized that I was not healthy. I was not being able to move, being able to run my programs the way I wanted to run my programs, so on and so forth. So I started saying, oh, you know what? I must lose weight, right? I'm sure a lot of people think about this. I must lose weight. Yeah. And for the longest time, my weight was fluctuating. I would lose a little bit of weight, and then I'll go up again, I'll down and up again, down and up again. But over the last 3.5, 4 years, I've been able to maintain my weight at this particular. I'm still a bit overweight. I'm still 80 kgs when my ideal weight should be about. I'm about 81 kgs when my ideal weight should be about 75, 76, right? But from 96 to come down to 81 and to keep it, it all goes back to your purpose drive. Why was it important for me to do it? And I had a major health scare about 3.5 years ago. And at that point, I told myself, this is because of the lifestyle you're leading. You're burning the midnight candle on both ends. You are not exercising. You're not doing anything else. Now, so what I did was I started swimming. This is something that I liked doing, and I'm quite good at doing it. But I'm exactly like you. Every few weeks, I'll slack off. I won't swim a day. Then it'll be 2 days. Then I'll have my cheat days. And then suddenly I'll find myself like a week of not swimming.
Yes.
So the old Shankar would have been someone who goes, oh, I can't do it. Oh, no, man, I better think of something else. But the new me over the last 3 years, every time I'd slack off, every like 3 days or 4 days or a week, I've even slacked off a couple of weeks of not doing it. And then I go back and go like, hey, why did I start this in the first place? Okay, to stay alive. I need to be alive. I'm no good dead at the moment to my family and to the people who listen to me on the radio and read my columns, so on and so forth. And there's no point me standing and talking to people about goals and everything else that I do if I can't actually live it myself, right?
Understood.
So, and right away, I'll jump back into the pool and I'll do it. And that first 3-4 days will be a real nightmare because your body conditioning is terrible, right? So I can't do my 20 laps. I'll be like, dying along the way, right? You know, but I will push through and I'll do it because I know it's purpose driven. So that's the answer. There's no other magic formula except being connected to purpose to start off with.
So my take from all of that is that you have to make sure you know why you want this particular goal, and it has to make you happy. If it's an exercise, it has to be something that you enjoy doing. All right, so moving on to our next speaker, we have Kevin Zahri, who will be speaking more on healthy living and so on and so forth. So Kevin, please, you may start.
Thank you, Mia. Assalamualaikum, and a very good morning to everyone who's joining us today for our New Year's goals pro tip on how to plan to meet your own KPIs. A very happy 2021 to everyone who is watching us today. Also to Mr. Shankar, thank you for your sharing earlier just now, and all the best with your weight management for 2021 as well. And usually beginning of the year is always a busy time for my industry because of the New Year's resolutions of everyone, or a big bulk of individuals wanting to lose weight. Yes, it's a busy time for us. And I have to keep it very honest today. There won't be a lot of weight loss tips in general, but I'll share some tips on things that relate to someone being able to accomplish their Azam Tahun Baru or their New Year's goals pertaining to weight management as an example. But a lot of these tips would not be nutritional or exercise tips per se, but are tips and experience that we or I encounter through our program with individuals who really struggle more with diri sendiri. They struggle dengan themselves in overcoming their own mental blocks in order to change what they would like to change. And I'm going to use a calendar that we create every year for our program called Bukan Soal Kurus, which in English translates to it's not just about being thin or losing weight. There's so much really more to the journey of being healthy. And I'll walk you through the various pictures of January through December to give you an idea of what we are referring to. Now, this is January, and it reads, Kurus is not a destination, it is a journey of a lifetime. And this relates a lot to short-term goals, New Year resolutions, or wanting to be kurus or rich. It's not really a destination. It is a long-term commitment to yourself. And it's not about losing just 10 kilos and then off you go, you're fine for the rest of your life. It is a never-ending commitment to self-improvement. Like Shankar as well, who is in his 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It is a never-changing commitment. And the definition of kurus changes as we age as well. Just there's no wrong in really having a New Year goal, whether it is weight loss or fitness, because it will always evolve as time goes by, and it is a never-ending program. It is not a 6-week plan or 8-week program. It is a lifetime commitment to oneself. And at the bottom, you can see enjoy the ride, because it is not a beautiful, perfect journey to anywhere. It is going to be a ride with ups and downs. And a lot of people only expect the goodness. They expect when it comes to weight loss, lose, but they can't take it if there is this bump in the road of that short-term weight gain again. And they have to understand that it's a journey with various ups and downs in order to make the journey more sustainable and not too stressful. Let's move on to February. Live as you die tomorrow and dream as you live forever. Now, this is easy to say. And I like the second part particularly, which is the dream as you live, dream as if you will live forever, because as we get older, especially, you tend to lose the youth and the positivity and the never-ending flame of living life. And I personally always hold on to my youth and my kids as well in remembering what it was like to be young and enjoying the simple things and living in the moment, not always planning for the future. It's always good to remind yourself to be in the present, which is not always easy if we always look too far ahead. Okay, next, March. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to be less than perfect. And it's okay to do what is best for you for yourself. And I know Mia said earlier in our webinar something along the lines of progress is better than perfection. Let me tell you, there is no such thing as perfection. Perfection is stressful. Dieting, as an example, eating perfectly healthy is stressful beyond belief, and it's not going to create sustainability. Life is not meant to be perfect, but it's the imperfection of what we say, the imperfections to make life perfectly imperfect. But you have to enjoy the balance of it both. Same thing goes for any resolution. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be weeks, like Shankar mentioned, where you don't quite get to do what you want to do, like the swimming or anything else. And it is okay. Sometimes, especially dealing with our audiences in our program, a lot of them come from a school system whereby they're always sort of reminded of the mistakes that they do. This is wrong, 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 wrong. And they get afraid of making mistakes. And when you're afraid of making a mistake, you'd rather not do anything. But we try to, in a way, encourage them to give it a try. It's okay if you fall down. You get back up. You try again. You fall back down. You try again and again and again and again. And it doesn't matter if you're 2021 or 2020 or 10 years ago, resolutions have all been failures. Does not guarantee failure for this year. Does not guarantee anything. It is all part of a never-ending journey called life. Yeah, next. Yeah, this is me. Don't be afraid of what could go wrong and focus on what could go right. It's totally great to laugh at your own mistakes, to make fun of who you are. We all have imperfections. We all think about failure. We all think about what could go wrong, which is human. Everyone does it, no matter how successful an individual is. And it's okay to feel that way. But at the same time, you have to always remind yourself to focus on the things that could go right. This picture, a lot of things went wrong, as you can see, but a lot of things went right. For the person I did this for was for my daughter's unicorn themed birthday party. And these are memories for a lifetime, just meant for my family and I. But it empowers my audience that I make fun of my imperfections, because it helps them shine a light on their own imperfection and say, hey, it's okay to be imperfect and try and fix what needs fixing, because we all need fixing. Yeah, Suka Hati Engkau Suka Hati Aku is a very big empowerment slogan in our program. Whatever you do in life, it is Suka Hati Engkau. Whatever you want to do, just do it. You don't have to ask permission from anyone to do anything. If you want to make 2021 about being the best juggler in the world, then you go and buy your balls and you go and juggle. It is Suka Hati Engkau. You want to go diet A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's Suka Hati Engkau. You want to go with this exercise program or something else. There is no right way or wrong way. There is really only your way, because it is your life. And we try to empower our audience by telling them not to always ask for permission to do anything. Hold responsibility. Take ownership of your life. Do what you got to do. Learn along the way. Things go wrong, you got to just blame yourself. You can't blame anyone else. And if things go right, thank yourself. It is you who did all the work. It was Shankar who did the swimming. It was him who did the decision making. And I'm not the one at home spoon feeding all the participants with food. They have to do the choices. We as educators just provide them the platform and the opportunity. But end of the day, it is Suka Hati Engkau. Yeah, next. Yeah, this is my son. It's all about inhaling courage, exhaling fear. Easier said than done. We all have fears. We all have inner demons. It's important to balance the fear with courage. No one is 100% courageous all the time. It is a balance. It's a balance of managing the inner demons and being courageous. But you always have to sort of, be your biggest motivator and maybe your biggest critic in order to push yourself forward. And again, it is a process, not a one-way journey. Yeah, next. July, and that's what we got. Yeah, my daughter. Never lose your sense of wonder. This goes back to the first thing I spoke about. This is really about remembering what it was like to be a young boy, a young girl, and the sense of wonder you've had for everything in life. And I always, when things get hard, I always like to look back at my younger pictures, and the young boy I used to be, extremely optimistic, extremely positive, extremely full of wonder of life, and use that as motivation to keep myself youthful, to keep myself excited about the beauty that is life. And that's my daughter washing my car, which we made into a water festival during the lockdown. Next, August. Do what makes your soul shine. This goes back to the principle of suka hati engkau. You want to shower in the rain, or you want to do something that's absolutely nuts. It gives you a sense of living life, and it's totally suka hati engkau to do whatever. This was during a commercial shoot way back when I was a little bit younger. Okay, next, September. This is me walking through a shopping mall during Halloween a couple of years ago with my family. Everyone thought I was like a tourist attraction paid by the shopping mall, but it was something that we did for fun with the kids. And the lesson is to focus on the good. I know Darth Vader is not always about the dark side, not so much the light, but it's really important to focus on the good in whatever scenario that you are in, even it being COVID-19 and the lockdown. And I spoke about this in a lot of different media platforms. There's a lot of negativity in anything and everything, but there also was a lot of positivity of being able to sort of forget about life for a little bit and focus on what's in front of you, the simplicity of spending time with your family, with yourself. Any point in life, there's going to be a mixture of good and bad. Success brings with it attention. Attention can be negative as well. Being alone has its pros and cons. Any scenario has pros and cons. Don't always fixate on the negativity. As an example, if someone of you is watching right now and is struggling with obesity, as an example, let's say you're overweight and you want to lose some weight, look at your physical well-being as an opportunity to do good for the blessing of the body that has been bestowed on you. So that your ability to do something amazing for yourself is positive. It's good. You cannot always dwell on the negativity. It does not solve anything. Switch it up, flip the coin. Look at the positivity on what you can deliver for your current situation to give yourself self-improvement. October, hope. It must begin with yourself. No matter how much I, Shankar, Mia, or any motivator is preaching about change, it must begin with you. Success or failure, if you want to call it, is in your hands and your hands alone. But you need to understand certain things are out of your hands. COVID-19 is not entirely in our hands. Depends on a lot of factors out of our control. Health, as an example, most of the things you can control. Food, exercise, certain things, diseases, not quite in our hands entirely. But it must begin with yourself to sort of grasp or grab the responsibility, own it, and start to move it forward, but leveraging on people like myself, Shankar as well, to give you extra drive and push you along, but you have to be the one hoping and owning the journey. Now, November, what do we have in November? November, life is beautiful. Enjoy the ride. This was during one of a school visit that we did for our NGO, and I fell gracefully, thank God, and it is part of life. It is part of any program. Even doing a live webinar like this, things will go right, things will go wrong. It does not really matter. Life will go on. You have to enjoy the imperfections of life, as I said before as well, because that's life. If life was perfect, it would be so boring. It is the imperfections that make it exciting. If you were handed ringgit 1 million, you wouldn't appreciate it. You may think it's going to change your life, but you would not appreciate it. But if you earn that 1 million ringgit, then there's a sense of appreciation for the journey the ups and downs that led you to that point. So embrace life. Life is beautiful if you see it that way. Look at the positives. Don't look at only the negatives. Yeah. Last December, my birthday month, just passed last month. 40s already. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. You have to have some stress in order to make progress. COVID-19 was stressful, but even in Shankar's scenario, that stress bring progress in him being able to adapt and change his business to a perhaps virtual environment. Exercise is physical stress, helps the body to get stronger. So we need some kind of catalyst or stress in order to catapult in order to bring yourself forward. Too much stress is going to regress and suppress your progress. Too much exercise leads to injury. Too much work leads to stress. It's really all about balance, but you need to always sort of understand the boundaries of your comfort zone, which will change when I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, what I can and cannot do. So it's a never-ending involvement of managing those boundaries, but you have to play at those boundaries in order for you to make progress. And it is a lifetime commitment as well. And it's the back of our calendar. It's just the difference between the difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. You can dream about it all you like. At the end of the day, you have to put your thoughts into actions. I do a lot of work with various individuals. The talk is always easy to plan and discuss, but the doing is the one that really matters, because that will then give you some kind of gauge on how things are working. And the more you do, the more you can sort of maneuver your way through the journey of your life, the journey of your goal. And again, it is a journey, but you have to start doing. Hence, we have our program, which starts at the beginning of this year, which is called Bukan Soal Kurus, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, and really amazing trainers from all over the country in an 8-week virtual program called Bukan Soal Kurus. Why do we call it Bukan Soal Kurus? Because yes, I understand that they want to lose some weight, which is fine. But at the end of the journey and all the lessons that they go through, it's not really about just the numbers. It's really about you. It's about you as an individual, understanding how to maneuver yourself into the world of weight management and health. Take your own time. For some, it's short term. Some, it's long term. Some, it can be an up and down journey. But it is suka hati engkau. And for anyone who would like to join us, we're starting in just a couple of days. Do check out bukansoalkurus.com. Again, 8-week amazing empowerment virtual 8-week program. Yeah, that's all from me. Mia, got any questions? Please shoot them down my way.
Wow, I am already feeling hyped and motivated, honestly. Thank you so much, Kevin, for all of that. So, first of all, I'd like to say April looks good on you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. So I like how you said there is no right way to do something, because everything is probably catered to each individual when it comes to fitness in particular, which is something which is very close to my heart as well. I love fitness because it makes me happy. So I just like to speak to every single one of you who are watching. If you guys feel like if you feel pressured when you see certain people doing certain things, I feel like you should know your own limit. You should know your body, your own self. So, which reminds me, I would like to ask you, Kevin, since you're the health expert, the fitness expert, how do you actually start, if you want to start your fitness journey? I believe it's important to get to know yourself and get to know your what you're good at and what you're not. So how would you go about with that, Kevin?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, I checked out your Instagram before our webinar, and I see that you are into fitness as well.
I love it.
Yeah. Let me say 2 or 3 things that may resonate with the question that you have. Number 1, we always say, perjuangan kurus mesti menggembirakan. It must make you happy. Whatever diet choices you have, whatever exercise choices you make, it must make you happy. And something that's challenging does not mean it makes you unhappy. I love things that are challenging, and the challenge itself makes me happy. That is me. Now,
I totally understand.
Second thing I want to say is comparison is the thief of joy. And that's where social media has its pros and cons as well. Social media can be very motivating, but it can also be the opposite. If you always look at what the other person is doing all the time, especially in fitness, if you follow a lot of the fitness influencers, it works for them, but it will not work for the majority of the beginners who may just want to start out and they feel inferior, and they have this inferiority complex that they can't do what the influencer is doing. So I always say this: don't follow anything anyone says. Don't follow anything I say. What I say may make sense for me, may not make sense for you. Don't follow any diet. My advice always is learn from A, learn from B, learn from C, learn from Shankar, learn from myself, digest it, have some kind of fundamental understanding, and then make your own decision. But the more you compare and you compare and you compare, it becomes exhausting and always a reminder of where you are not. But I always encourage people to look at themselves, make sure the environment is conducive and empowering, so it helps you to move forward positively. Easier said than done, Mia.
Yes. So easy example, maybe the three of us, we cannot be compared to each other. Like maybe something Shankar likes might not be suitable for me, or maybe something Kevin does I cannot do, so everyone has their own capabilities. So I think
suka hati kau.
Suka hati aku.
Yes.
And especially when you are as old as me and I sit next to the two young people.
You are not that old, Shankar. You are not that old. I'm almost there.
Age is just
10
a
years.
number.
10 years ahead of you, my friend. But yes, you will get there, and you're looking great for a 40-year-old.
42.
42. Hell, look at that. Nice.
All right. So we have about less than 10 minutes left. I'm not so sure if we have a couple questions from the audience right here, but if we don't, maybe just a moment. All right. For this year.
Can't hear you.
Repeat it again, please.
Oh, sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Testing?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just saying we have about less than 10 minutes, so we are going to wrap it up real quick. But before that, we're going to get some questions from the audience. While we wait for any of you, if you have any questions in the audience, please don't be shy. You can ask about anything at all. We have Shankar and also Kevin to answer, or even if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer. But in the meantime, okay, we do have some questions. A question from Dino Omar.
Dino Omar. I know Dino Omar.
We all know
Sounds
Dino.
Quite familiar, yeah. How do you feel about the idea of dialing it down when you feel things getting a bit too tough, as opposed to persistence, and persistence?
I can give you an example. Before COVID-19 hit us in March, Dino, I had way too much on my plate. A lot of really amazing opportunities, which were hard to say no to at the time, throughout 2019 and early 2020. But I was just waiting to let things go because it was too much. And experience, again, this is where Shankar may be able to fill in more light than me. Experience will teach you that sort of how to gauge what you can or cannot do. And if it's too much on your plate, it will immediately take away from the focus and the quality of the work that you deliver. And it's important to then being able to say no. One of our lessons in our Bukan Soal Progress in one of the days is called learning how to say no, to manage time, to manage your well-being, your happiness, your rest. And it's not easy to say no, especially being in the culture that we are in, being polite and avoiding confrontations. It's really important to say no, learn to say no, to safeguard your own well-being, because you cannot take care of others. You cannot take care of business if you cannot take care of yourself.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that I speak a lot about is being courageous. And one of the most important things, like, you know, you said earlier in your presentation, Kevin, you talked about exhaling fear, right? So a lot of people talk about exhaling fear. Get fear out of your system. And the first thing that helps you rise above fear is having courage. We have to be courageous people, and the courage that we need is the courage to say no. The courage, that's the hardest courage that a person needs, because we're always a couple of things. Number one, Kevin's right. We've got a culture, our Asian culture, Asian society, our upbringing. Everything must be like, you know, okay, deferential. We have to put our head down and listen to what people tell us. And the other problem that we have through social media is FOMO, fear of missing out. So we keep going and trying to do this and that and the other. So the real balance for everyone out there is do what Kevin says. Get out of your comfort zone. Know where that comfort zone is. Understand your own comfort zone. The moment you can get out of your comfort zone and you can push, you are getting better. It's that Kaizen spirit. It's like, you know, constant and never ending improvement. You do that, but don't go berserk. And don't listen to anyone who says push, 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 or whatever they ask you to do, right? Just say, no, buddy, no, can't do it. No, I need to go and sleep now. That's the way it is. Because you're right. If you buckle, if you capitulate, if your body breaks down, if your mind breaks down, you know, the biggest problem during this pandemic at the moment, partially is the fact that we're all getting a little bit fat because we're sitting at home and eating and cooking and doing nothing else. That's, you know, I know it's bukan soal kurus, but really you need to be kuruskan yourself a little bit, right? That's one. And the other problem, the bigger fundamental problem that we all face is mental illness. There's a tremendous amount of mental illness. I mean, I share on Light, I shared a platform with a couple of psychiatrists and psychologists who all talk about the rising number of cases of people having all sorts of mental problems right now. And that comes with this incessant need to be on top of everything, to push and grow. Did we realize the first round of MCU, the first PKB when we had for 3 months, 2 months, didn't we realize that life actually, from being difficult, from being panicky, if you got yourself organized, you don't need so much, you don't spend so much, you find a certain equilibrium in your life, the silence is nice, you reconnect with your families, you do a lot of great things. Focus on what the benefits of everything is, and don't push yourself to the point where you break.
That is very, very important. Don't push yourself because somebody else is telling you. So that's what I understand. So we have one more question here by Hasfarina. How do we try to maintain weight loss programs? Did you get that?
I got that.
We got that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Shankar, would you like to give it a shot from your own point of view?
From my point of view, it's just being connected to purpose. I have struggled with it, my friend, just like all of you out there. I've struggled with the fact that, you know, my weight has gone up and down regularly. For years, it's been doing that. So one of the things that I realized at the end is I can't play with it. And I don't blame myself. I don't get upset anymore. When I have a weight increase, I accept that it's a weight increase, but nobody else can help me but myself. So I make a choice. And then sometimes I might make the wrong choices and then go like, okay. So I look at myself in the mirror and go like, whoa, too fat. We need to do something about this. And I make that choice. Nobody else does it. Then I go and meet people like Kevin, and I meet other people who help me, give me tools to how to make it work better. How do you reconnect all the time to your weight loss program? Go back to purpose. Always go back to why do you do it? Why do you want it? What benefit do you get from it? And how does it make you feel? And connect with that feeling. That's the most important thing, everyone, the feeling. Because when I look at myself and I like the way I look, I have a great feeling. When I look at myself and I don't like the way I look, it really pisses me off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, the one thing that we always talk about, it's not about the number on the scale. It's not about the BMI per se. It's really about you bangun pagi, mandi, buka tuala, cermin diri, look in the mirror,
and then go,
ask yourself whether you are happy with what you see, yes or not. If you're happy, it doesn't really matter what the scale says. But even if the weight is perfect, but you don't like the reflection in the mirror, that is a problem in itself. So it's really suka hati kau again. But consistency, sustainability is a big, big, big topic for us. And it is not easy to break down in a couple of minutes. You have those bandwagon posters. It takes 30 days or 40 days to break a habit, yada, yada, yada. That is BS, in my opinion. It looks great as a social media post, but it's not that easy to quit something in just a certain number of days. We've had amazing success stories in our program over the years. People losing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 kilos, only to then regain it slowly over time again. It is a never-ending commitment to yourself. Surroundings, really, really important. And surroundings are not easy to get rid of. If you are an example with the wrong surroundings, smoking as an example, I would say, I'm not a smoker. I have no experience. A lot of friends who are, they tell me they've been trying to quit for many, many years. But if their surroundings of individuals who smoke is always around them, it's hard to break a habit. It's the same thing with weight management. If you're constantly surrounded by individuals who don't live the life that you would like to live, and many people are not mentally as strong as perhaps myself, Shankar, Mia, Dino are, they would rather conform to the environment than break free. Conforming is easier than breaking off. But if you can't break off your current surroundings, you need to get out of your persekitaran yang kurang membina. And we have this in our video where we say, if your family is not encouraging or building the positivity in your life, may it be weight management, mental health, you need to get yourself out, whether you like it or not. Getting out does not mean you cut ties. It just means you move yourself physically to an area that is empowering, is cultivating. It's very scary to take that leap on your own. But then once you've done it, and you've done it for a couple of weeks, you realize you are still here. You're still alive. Your heart is still pounding, and you are okay. But you need to take that step for your own well-being to break free of certain chains that are holding you back in order to build sustainability. I'll give you a quick example. If Shankar lives with me for a year, I guarantee you the surroundings will slowly reel him in, and he will stay within those surroundings for as long as he's there.
My wife might have different ideas, but never mind. We'll talk about this.
We can negotiate it.
But yes, I agree. You are what your friends are, your surroundings are. So we have one more question. I'm going to read this by Siti Fatima. It's about mental and positivity. So she says she loves being positive. However, with so much negativity around, how to motivate people? Because not everyone has the same mental state. Some people may prefer to look at things in a more negative point of view, which is normal. So maybe you can explain?
I give you an example, if I may, Shankar. I am a person known for being blindly positive. And I am, when I scroll back through my Instagram, I always smile. I always look like crazy happy. I do weird things and I enjoy it. And people always ask me in the beginning, why are you always so happy? And why are you always so positive? And I didn't get it in the beginning because I was just being me. And no one is perfectly happy. No one is perfectly 100% positive. We always have a balance and juggling both positive and negative. I had very, very lows in my life growing up. I'm thankful for the lows in my life earlier on in my life because it always gives me a reflection of what's a real problem versus what is not really a problem. I had a lot of hardship when I was in my early 20s. I channeled my hardship through exercise. So the more problems I have, the harder I exercise because you have to channel stresses to something positive. So when I was younger in my 20s in college and I had something really, really terrible happen to me, I told myself in the mirror, and I remember this moment vividly. I told myself, I can do two things. A, I can allow the problem to really dwell on me and bring me into a dark place where it will not solve it anyways, or I can channel this problem into something really amazing and do justice and honor for what I lost in the past. So even now, anything bad happens, I channel the negativity to something positive, but it is a mental mindset that you need to sort of train yourself day in and day out. And again, it's not a 30-day thing. It is a lifetime sort of check and reflect what's happening. What can I do to make the negative positive? But you can't just ignore the negative. You have to find a solution to it if there is a solution, which can be short-term, medium, or long-term. Now, quick example again, COVID-19 in March. A lot of my friends who are in the fitness industry were depressed because they always hoped for things to be over in 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. But they hoped for something they had no control over. You can't control the lockdown. You can't control COVID-19 as a whole. So I myself gave myself a mental window of 6 months being stuck in my house. So that gave me a lot of room to maneuver my mental well-being, being prepared for 6 months. I am always prepared for the worst case scenario. My worst case scenario, lockdown, COVID-19, was me with a hammer and axe in my hand, walking down the street, fighting for food. That was my worst case mental picture. And I was ready for that. So anything,
too much movies.
But it could happen. It was not impossible. And for me, being ready for that made me ready for anything. And that gives you strength and empowerment.
I think it happened in America last night. People
there you go.
The Capitol building. Very quickly, the question about I can't remember the name of the lady who asked the question now.
Siti Fatima.
Siti Fatima, that's right. Siti Fatima's question was, I'm positive, but I'm surrounded by people who are not, and that's a bit difficult for me sometimes.
Yes.
Success and happiness. I think you just go back, Siti Fatima, go back to thinking about success and happiness. Success is very simple. Success is getting what you want. I want to drink some water right now. I drink it, that is success. Don't equate your success to happiness, because happiness, you all know, your religion teaches you, our religions teach us, our spirituality teaches us. Happiness comes from being grateful, having gratitude, right? Essentially. So when you meet people who are not positive, you can look at them and go like, you can allow them to affect you, number one. Or you can say, hey, I'm grateful for me because I have this resonance inside me. I can be happy. I can be positive. And when you look at that person, there's no need for you to change them because it is suka hati engkau. They can be whatever they want, but you don't have to get affected by them. But what you can do, Siti, is to be able to show them through your actions, through your thought processes, through your positivity. It's contagious. Positivism is contagious. Good cheer is contagious. You sit around with a whole bunch of people, like what Kevin said, your surroundings. If you sit around with a whole bunch of people who smoke all the time, it'll be hard for you to break off. But if you start focusing on your ability to not smoke, and then you influence one person, two persons, three persons, eventually your group of 5 people will stop smoking. And that one person who continues to smoke will go away somewhere else to have a smoke and come back, because he or she will be positively aligned to what you guys are doing. So I always tell people, really stop worrying about what other people's mental state of mind is. Focus on yours, and also focus on being an exemplar. Focus on letting people emulate what you do by being good yourself. The moment you show happiness, gratitude, and you are always positive, people, Siti Fatima, people look at you as a go-to person, want to come and hang out with you simply because you can empower them. So why don't you become the empowering agent? Why don't the change start with you? That's the most important thing. I always tell people, great, you have all these problems outside, and yes, you will meet all these people outside, but it's entirely up to you to make a decision on how you want to react. And if you find that person's negativity is too much for you, step away. Walk away, move away. You know what I've done? Like Kevin, you've had your experience with your industry. I've had experience with social media and stuff like that, and my friends. You know what I've done over the last 9 months? I've culled, culled people. I've stopped hanging around with people who bring me down. I don't want to know how bad COVID is. I don't want to know whether it's a conspiracy theory. I don't want to know whether this is happening or that is happening, or the minister is saying this and tomorrow this. And I don't want to join in conversations when people say, everybody should stay in their own state. Stop traveling around. You shouldn't go to the beach. You shouldn't do that. I want to say, listen, why am I adding to this? Adding to this negativity. I'm just going to focus on increasing my own immunity, keeping myself healthy, keeping myself safe, and I'm going to focus on empowering other people to think the same way. And amazing, I haven't lost my positivity. I'm a bit like Kevin. People think I'm nuts. You know what I mean? All the time. I walk around happy all the time. Why do you do this? I come on the radio every day and people go like, it's really nice to listen to you in the morning because you give us a positive slant before I go to work at 6:50 in the morning. When really there's not much to be positive about at 6:50 in the morning for most people, because they're sitting in the car and going like, oh my God, it's work again, right? So it's this, you make the choice. Siti, you make the choice.
All right, so thank you so much to the both of you. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. But
what?
If you guys...
There's not enough time. What? We like this. Kevin and I need like 6 hours to run this webinar. What nonsense is this?
If you would like to ask them any questions, feel free to hit them up on their social media. Go and find it, Facebook, Instagram, anything. I'm sure they also have programs. So yes, thank you very much once again. And I would like to quickly let you guys know, if you're interested for the next live webinar session that will be happening next Wednesday on the 13th of January. It will be about marketing in the dark, making your ad bucks work for you in a crisis. And one of the panelists will be the CEO of Air Asia Malaysia, Riyad Asmat. Also, we have the CEO of Media Brands Malaysia, Bala Pomale, and Nicholas Tay. All right, so that's all for today. Thank you very, very much. My name is Saraya Mia, and I hope to see you guys another time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.